So we've been tracking the Democrats' attempt to paint President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth as war criminals over strikes on Venezuelan drug boats. They called it a massacre of innocent fishermen. They invoked the Geneva Convention. They demanded investigations, and tonight it all just blew up in their faces. ABC aired drone footage, Alex Jones dropping a global exclusive, and what we now know is that those so-called helpless survivors, they climbed back into the burning boat to salvage the cocaine. The war crimes hoax just sank to the bottom of the Caribbean. And here's what's at stake. You see, Democrats and corporate media spend days pushing the narrative that Trump and Hegseth ordered illegal double-tap strikes on defenseless people in the water. They said the survivors were in clear distress. They cited the Pentagon Law of War Manual. They even got Admiral Alvin Holsey to resign after he allegedly raised concerns about legality. This was supposed to be about the silver bullet that would stop Trump's narco-terror offensive cold. Calls for Nuremberg-style prosecution were circulating. But then the actual footage came out. ABC reported that the drone cameras captured after the first strike, the so-called victims climbed back into the wreckage and tried to salvage the drugs. They were not helpless castaways. They were narco-traffickers continuing their mission. And under the rules of engagement, that makes them legitimate targets. The entire war crimes narrative just collapsed. Right? Just collapsed. And the people who pushed it are freaking out. And while politicians play games with national security, real Americans are dealing with real problems, including taking care of their health. In a recent clinical trial, women who took 2.5 grams of collagen peptides daily for 8 weeks saw 25% reduction in eye wrinkle depth and 29% boost in hydration. This is why I use BioTrust Ageless Multi-Collagen. It supercharges skin health using 5 premium collagen types. I've noticed smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer fine lines, plus it supports joint health and bone strength. Grab a bag for 51% off at healthwithgary.com. You'll also get free VIP coaching, a free ebook, a 60-day guarantee, and free shipping. That's healthwithgary.com. Hit it up and take care of yourself. So it gets worse for the Democrats. Alex Jones aired what he called a global exclusive, walking through the Pentagon drone footage frame by frame and declaring the Hegseth war crimes hoax collapsed like a house of cards. Jesse Waters lit up primetime saying ABC just blew up the double tap hoax like a Coke boat. Stephen Miller twisted the knife, saying this is the first time a major political party has sided with narco-trafficking, murdering terrorist scum. Think about that. Representative Anna Paulina Luna, she fired back that if this footage shocks you, go walk Skid Row or inner city Chicago and see what 100,000 overdose deaths a year actually looks like. Trump himself said that every boat destroyed saves 25,000 American lives, and sea smuggling is down 91%. Here's Jesse Waters' post. ABC just blew up the Democrats' double tap hoax like a Coke boat. The 2 Coke boat survivors climbed back into the boat after the strike and tried to salvage the drugs, completely shattering the narrative. Watch.
New information tonight.
So this is Fox News airing the ABC report.
Tonight, new information. According to a source familiar with the incident, the 2 survivors climbed back onto the boat after the initial strike. They were believed to be potentially in communication with others and salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was determined they were still in the fight and valid targets. A JAG officer was also giving legal advice.
This backs up the entire second strike.
Yes, I mean, it just doesn't get more crystal clear than that. The mission is take out the boat, stop the drugs, keep this vessel and its cargo from reaching our shore using lethal means. And our amazing military, the heroes of the United States Armed Forces, did exactly that. President Trump, Secretary Hegseth, and this entire government are committed to finally using our military to defend our people, our borders, our family, our culture, our history, our heritage, to defend the United States. We're not going off running around the Middle East trying to build democracies in caves and deserts and in distant sands that have never known democracy. We're using the military to protect American security, American prosperity, American lives right here where we live, where our children live.
Tonight, new.
Yes. And we have this just 2 hours ago. U.S. military has just eviscerated another narco-terrorist boat full of drugs headed to America. Look at this video. Look at that. That's like 4K, baby. Look at it. There it is. Look at all those drugs. Kaboom! Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Party's over, guys. And there goes the cocaine to the bottom of the sea. To Davy Jones' locker. And just like that, Alex Jones writes 12 hours ago, the Hegseth committed war crimes hoax collapses like a house of cards.
Salvaging some of the drugs. Because of that, it was
in distant sand.
Global exclusive Pentagon drone footage answers the question, did Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth commit international war crimes by ordering a Hellfire missile double tap on a narco-terrorist boat?
Lots of guys.
No box.
Coming out of the hole.
Yeah, direct hits right there.
Good.
I'm setting for the howitzer.
Guy moving.
Got him.
Lots of guys.
No box.
Coming out of the hole.
Run out of there.
All right, got 3.
There, you got it. Hey, Gertie.
So what you're seeing there is that's an Afghanistan airstrike that was used as an example. I think this is the footage here.
Destroying enemy fighters during the global war on terror. Warning, there's a lot of double.
He's loaded. Get him.
Good hit, chip 3-1.
Some of this footage we just can't show. It's just too hot for YouTube. But Democrats can't identify a woman, a criminal, a peaceful protest, dementia, or which bathroom to use, but they sure can identify a fishing boat when they see one. Yeah, does that look like a fishing boat to you? Yeah, what do you think are in those big blue tanks? Do those look like just simple fishermen? I don't think so. What's up here? Oh, just some more fish food, I guess. Well, pretty soon they're all going to be fish food, right? Representative Anna Paulina Luna, if you think the footage of drug trafficking boats gets blown out of the water is shocking, go to Chicago or Skid Row.
Which is, for any of these people, I don't care if they're Democrats or not, but are they super critical of President Obama when he did the same thing? The fact is that for the most part, to my knowledge, since I've really been alive, which has been, for 36 years, there's been many presidents who have used this authority and it hasn't been a big deal. I do understand, though, that it might be shocking for people to see footage of narco-terrorists being blown out of the water, but I would argue that maybe those people need to go into inner city Chicago, or maybe they need to check out Skid Row and see what happens when you have people injecting themselves with drugs, or see what happens to the families in this country that have to deal with children that are ODing. So I have no sympathy for those people that are choosing to traffic drugs into this country, and I definitely don't have any sympathy for the fact that these terrorist networks are responsible for destabilizing and causing mass atrocities in part of these countries in South America, of which I've traveled to. I have seen the mass graves and the footage of mass graves that are responsible and funded largely by these terrorist networks. So no, I don't have sympathy. This is called governing, and we are going to do what we need to do to keep the American people safe.
Governing with Hellfire missiles. Democrats are running a military-style coup on Trump while protecting narco-terrorists, literally trafficking boatloads of drugs into the U.S. They care more about terrorists than American citizens because they're all getting a slice of the pie. Check this out.
Etc. Move over, Maryland dad. Democrats have a new crush. He doesn't wear a bull's hat. He's a cocaine cowboy of the Caribbean. But don't you dare call him the N-word.
There is no such thing as a narco-terrorist. There are very, very bad narcotics people, cartels, etc., but they're desperate to make this look like it's ISIS or Al-Qaeda because that's the very thin line on which their illegal use of the United States military to take these people out resides.
Remember, they said there's no such thing as Antifa either. Now they say they're just fishermen trying to make an honest living.
Most narco traffickers are not in those boats. They pay people to do that, and usually people who are not significantly involved with narco trading. It's the way they make money.
That's like saying most sex traffickers aren't the ones driving the girls around to turn tricks. Those guys are just chauffeurs trying to make money. I guess if a man can be a woman, then a drug trafficker can be a boat captain. ABC says family of a fisherman killed in U.S. boat strike files human rights complaint. A fisherman? Are we going to start calling Epstein an accountant? Did Truman call Hitler the Austrian painter? This just in. The Associated Press says one of the guys on the boat we smoked was a longtime local crime boss who made his living smuggling drugs and women. Che Martinez was jailed in Venezuela on human trafficking charges. This was a bad hombre, and he wasn't trolling for marlin. These boats reek, and it's not because they're packed with pogies. These vessels are stacked to the gills with cocaine. Democrats just say, relax, it's just a little party boat snapping pics of the sunset.
People on a boat in the middle of the Caribbean carrying cocaine are not a direct threat to the lives of our service members or Americans.
The cartels have killed more Americans than Al-Qaeda. They're a direct threat. Overdose deaths, addiction, gang violence, sex trafficking, prostitution, carjacking, all emanate from the drug trade. Why can we bomb Toyota Tundras in the desert but not Coke boats in the Caribbean? They won't tell us. America's dropped bombs on weddings. Apparently, it's bipartisan. We showed you last night, George W. bombed a wedding in Afghanistan. Barack bombed a different wedding in Yemen. Bombs away, Barry bombed hundreds of innocent civilians during the war on terror. Some of the strikes are double taps. And they didn't call him a murderer. They called him Messiah.
Yeah, big difference, right? What a difference an administration makes. Here's President Trump talking about the drug traffickers.
American law. I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release. No problem. You know, we stopped every boat we knock out. We save 25,000 American lives.
That's right.
And if you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%. I'm surprised there's 9%. You want to? I don't know who's doing the 9%, but it's down 91, and we're going to start very soon on land, and I'm sure you're thrilled to hear that. I don't know what they.
We're going to start very soon on land. The land strikes will soon begin. So here is the bottom line. The Democrats looked at footage of drug traffickers hauling poison into America, and they saw victims. They looked at Trump destroying cartel infrastructure, and they saw a war crime. They sided with narco-terrorists over American families burying their children from fentanyl overdoses. And now the footage proves that those so-called innocent fishermen were crawling back into a destroyed boat to save the cocaine. The hoax is dead. The only question left is why an entire political party threw in with the cartels. How much did they pay them? As one commenter put it, they're all getting a slice of the pie. You see, this was supposed to destroy Trump's war on the cartels. The media had their narrative, the Washington Post publishing it on the paper. The lawyers had their talking points. Admiral Holsey resigned. Democrats were screaming war crimes from every microphone they could find. And then the footage dropped, ABC confirming it. Those innocent fishermen, those helpless survivors in clear distress, they climbed back into a burning boat to salvage cocaine. That's not a war crime. That's a legitimate military strike on enemy combatants who chose drugs over their own lives. President Trump said he would treat the cartels like terrorists, and he meant it. Over 100,000 Americans are dying every year from overdoses. Sea smuggling is down 91% since Trump started sinking these boats. You see, the Democrats really only had a choice. You could stand with grieving American families, or you could stand with the narco-terrorists. And of course, what do? They choose the cartels. So here's the question. Do you support Trump sinking these cartel boats? Yes or no? Sound off. And support the mission here at the Next News Network by hitting our merch shop down below.